I'm Shirakawa from Oyamisan. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
Recently, people have been talking a lot about naphtha, crude oil, and the situation in Iraq, and transportation companies often bring up the topic of fuel. They say things like, even if you look for it, all sorts of things are disappearing, but fuel is in trouble too, right? I hear that a lot. Well, everyone says the same thing. Things aren't coming in from various places, so you can't build houses, you can't do painting, and in the end, if fuel runs out, not just the price going up, but if it actually disappears, then nothing can move anymore.
In the first place,
It's not just transportation companies. Ferries, airplanes, anything that runs on fuel will all come to a halt. So it's not just a problem for transportation companies. All I can say is that the whole country would come to a stop.
when I went to Autobacks to get my car's oil changed, I asked, what's going on with the oil supply? And they said, we only have what's in stock and we don't know when we'll get more. That's when I realized things were starting to get like this.
It's not just starting now. This has been going on for quite a while. So I think what the Prime Minister is talking about with bottlenecks is actually a different issue. Because so many people are hoarding things, supplies run out quickly. Even for us, we have to secure a bit more engine oil than usual, though we're not stocking up in huge quantities for the company. That's why it's getting harder to get things in and to produce them. If there's a shortage, prices will go up and we'll see inflation. But that's not the real issue. The so-called 2024 problem in the transportation industry is something else.
Ah, I see.
It's actually easy to understand. The current situation. Because of the new regulations, if we assume that previously 10 trucks were operating, now maybe this is an extreme example, but only 5 are allowed to run. Truck drivers also have restrictions on their working hours. So, across the country, it used to take 10 to keep things moving, with all the transport companies and all the truck drivers working together. They were all giving it their all to keep things running until now. So what happens if that number drops to 5?
It is divided in half, to put it quite simply.
You might not realize it, but because of this NAFTA issue, all sorts of things are finally starting to disappear from store shelves. For example, snack packaging is starting to turn plain white. When you talk about things happening right before our eyes, it's because the materials used for printing are running out. There's no thinner, so supplies aren't coming in easily. And when things don't come in, it turns into a scramble. And prices go up. In the end, things that Kuriyama doesn't move just don't move. They don't move, but there are still plenty of people who want them. It turns into a scramble. But if there used to be 10 of something and now there are only 5, it shifts somewhere else. If transporting goods this way isn't profitable anymore, then people start transporting them another way, which means things move even less on this side. It's even possible that something might never come in again. So, what about other routes? If it comes to that, we'll be forced to make good use of airplanes or other means instead of trucks. In that sense, when it comes to the impact of the 2024 issue in the logistics industry on rising prices, in my view, the effects have barely shown up. It's almost zero so far. I don't know about NASA, whether this is just a temporary thing or if it will continue for longer, but what I can say is that it's not just about NASA. But the point is, things are starting to stop moving. Well, to add a bit more detail, probably, maybe it's just a timing that makes it easier for this to happen. Yes, that's how it is, isn't it? Well, in the end, if trucks stop running, materials won't come in and we won't be able to make things. That's where it all starts.
And then finally, building materials get delayed, construction periods get extended, and the cost to build a single school building keeps going up. I think we've started to see stories like that in the news from time to time.
Yeah, that's true.
I've heard that with scaffolding. You get charged for as long as it's left up, right?
Since it's leased,
With staff shortages, late materials, or no master carpenter, a 1-month job ends up taking 3. I saw a news story saying that what used to be 4 months in the summer is now becoming even longer.
it's unused.
Mortgage interest rates are also rising. So building a new house feels like a dream. Like it's truly just a dream now.
With the 2024 problem in construction, the main issue is that projects are taking longer. Similarly, in the transportation industry, it's the same core issue. For example, deliveries are delayed, or companies have different days off. Even if you want to ship something, trucks miss their windows. So then what happens next? If you can't deliver until after the next working day because of another holiday, that means you can't do business during that time. This issue with delays is really starting to show up in transportation as well. If goods can't be shipped out, you have to pay for warehouse storage, and all those costs end up being added to the price of products and services, so prices just keep going up. It doesn't really matter where you start. Say, warehouse costs go up. If warehouse costs rise, then somehow the price of goods and services will increase as well. For example, if it's the end user, maybe it's still manageable, but if you're buying those goods to do something else with them, then already, at that specific point, your purchase cost has already gone up. If you further process it and sell it as materials to the next party, the cost will be added on significantly even more at each stage, right?
That's tough, isn't it, when it gets like that?
This chain reaction keeps driving prices up. Various things are consumed along the way, like company warehouses and employee salaries. As the cycle continues, costs keep rising indefinitely. That is Japan's current situation. It is simply too much. Prices were just too low, and deflation lasted too long. That's why I think this strange chain reaction will probably continue for a while. As for the current fuss about rising prices, I actually feel that the impact on the transportation industry hasn't really shown up yet.
What do you mean by the impact hasn't shown up?
I mean, in terms of the rising cost of goods, because transportation is delayed due to the so-called 2024 problem in the logistics industry, I think that impact probably has not fully materialized just yet.
It isn't reflected in prices.
Once reflected, things will escalate quickly. Once noticed, or when society recognizes it,
I feel like when the 2024 problem actually started, it was covered a bit in the news, but in the end, everyone forgets. People only notice that prices are going up in their own lives, so the cause feels distant. It's hard for people to connect the two.
even things like, I used to get deliveries every day, but now it's every other day, people forget the reason why. It just becomes the new normal.
That probably affects the horses as well, right? Even with racehorses, for the portion I pay every month as a shareholder, there's no breakdown of the transportation costs for each horse. When it comes to the expenses incurred, the invoice just lists the total amount, there's no detail. So even if the transportation costs for the horses go up, we as regular shareholders have no way of knowing. That's just how it is.
It probably also depends on which transport company is used. And of course it also varies depending on the route. Honestly, to be frank, I don't even know how exactly things are divided up, but from Hokkaido's farms, there are both horses registered in Japan and those registered in special stables, right? Even just the transportation fees differ. Between Kanto and Kansai, yes, that's right.
If
that difference is actually reflected or not, I honestly don't know. I also don't know if fans are buying shares with that already factored in.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knows right now.
But you know, I just thought of something. The boarding fees at the 9 companies are different, aren't they? Depending on the company.
Ah, yes, that is certainly true.
For this company, we could show, with this specific company, the simulation estimates it will cost about this much. There are many ways to enjoy the process, especially when shares are offered, right?
There's a list of training stables for the 40 share clubs, and it was posted on X. It shows how many horses from the 1 share clubs are assigned to each stable at Miho and Rito. When you look at it, you can see which stables in Rito and which in Miho are getting the horses and how they're distributed. Looking at that kind of information, apparently people buy based on that. Like, since this stable is handling so many horses, maybe this 1 share club has a really good relationship with this trainer. They make predictions like that when they buy, I think.
The more you learn, the more perspectives you get. But on the flip side, there's so much that isn't visible, so it feels like there's a lot to discover.
Yes.
Be publicly available.
If it ever gets to the point where you find out that this trainer is actually using this particular agent company, I don't know what would happen, but I think it could be interesting. That's what crossed my mind for a moment.
But yeah, I think that is exactly right. It's probably because it would have an impact on the surrounding environment that they simply can't make it public. It's a highly competitive world, so it's not like they absolutely can't reveal it. But for most people, keeping it hidden seems much more advantageous. For various reasons, that's why the world of horse racing is kind of closed off, or maybe even manipulated, don't you think? Maybe gambling isn't something you're supposed to put out in the open too much. It is the same with everything else, right? Like with Kirin racing too.
Yes, that's true.
It's a complicated issue, isn't it? We just don't know. Maybe there are a lot of entanglements because it's gambling. But if we just made the whole process fully open, I feel like that would be a bit fairer. But as I said, in the end, differences can arise from things like the transport companies, and various other factors can create disparities. So, when everything is out in the open, things don't always line up evenly, and maybe that's where the sense of fairness gets lost. If things aren't brought to light, we can't really tell what's fair and what's unfair, can we? But
Fairness, honestly, I try to watch horse racing a little bit every week. But you know how reporters make comments in the paddock? Even when I watch those, I have no idea what's going on at all.
they never say anything outright negative, do they? Like, if Mr. Hosoi uses a certain word, maybe people who know can tell that means the horse isn't doing well, but...
Sorry, I got a bit off track there. As for the price impact of the 2024 issue, no one has noticed it. At least that's my take.
I don't really feel it either. So when I talk about this, people are like, there's no way, is that really true? But I think they'll only realize it after prices start going up. Everything in society has a price when you think about it. So maybe that's what people will start calling Japan's growth. Globally speaking, Japan hasn't been able to grow at all. Even so, many other countries exist, even in nations said to have grown far more than Japan beyond comparison. Many people struggle because incomes can't keep up with rising prices, creating a tough atmosphere. So, amidst these changes, everyone has to find a way to adapt. Nothing stays the same forever. I mean, even for myself, tomorrow I'll be older than I am today. It's the same thing. Things may look the same, but we're actually getting closer to death, we're deteriorating, so things are definitely not staying the same.
More things will become impossible.
But there will also be more things we can do. Physically, there might be more things we can't do as we get older, but let me just say, we can still improve our physical strength, even if you haven't exercised at all. You too? What's up? There's only room for growth.
Can improve.
That's right, there's nothing but room to grow.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you for watching. At UN Transport, we are currently looking for great drivers to join our team. If you're interested, please check out our recruitment site or the corporate website linked in the description below, and we would truly love for you to apply.